What's up guys, Jared on an island here, back again with another video. I never thought that I would get to experience a second end of the world. I quickly realized when I was born that I already lived at the beginning of after the end of the world. The world ended a long time ago, if you haven't realized, and now you're getting to witness the second death. With what's going on right now in the Middle East and Iran specifically, this is a sign of things to come, of an accelerated decay. When they closed the Strait of Hormuz about a month ago, people didn't realize that it would take time for that to hit us. And it still hasn't hit us at the time of this video, okay? Normies don't realize that it's coming. Nobody is able to react yet because we don't know what is going to happen when it hits us. Obviously, gas prices will go up, and that in itself will scare so many people into doing so many things we don't know what's going to happen. Even with the threat of COVID, we almost ran out of toilet paper altogether. And you know, in America, we don't really use bidets, so we were going to have a little bit of a stinky problem, if you will. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that the second end is coming, and there will be a third, there'll be a fourth, there'll be so many things that look catastrophic, will be less catastrophic than you think, and then there will be no improvement. There will be no going back to the original state. Obviously COVID was one of those, so maybe this isn't the second, maybe this is the third, fourth, fifth. I mean, 9/11, you know, all these other things, the financial crash. There's no true recovery after those events. And sadly, we aren't growing into a state of being stronger. In nature, as you see around me right now, you have this experience where through death, there's life. There's rejuvenation and growth through what survives and reproduces. It creates new through new life, and genetics cause a new thing to be developed into the world, a more complex creature usually. And that complex creature inevitably creates or begins to live in completely new environments because everything around it becomes more and more complex, or at least different. And we as humans have stagnated to this point where we can have disaster and nobody will take the initiative to reproduce new life. And you can take that as literally having new people, birth rates going down. But I'm talking about this generally in the aspect of we are no longer creating new things like we once did. We are no longer innovating into creative ideas, theories of lived experience, civilizations that are so unique. Now we have this global slop, this one singular entity that tries to correct itself instead of growing into new things. It doesn't allow for new, creative, threatening experiences. It only allows what's acceptable into its own philosophy, which in itself is portrayed as love and acceptance, but is really almost like a mindset of, and I'm sorry, but communism, I want to say. I feel like that's a very loaded word and not what I'm trying to get at, but it's trying to get at an idea of oneness, which is ugly, is so simplified that it goes against almost all of nature. And like always, I'm not trying to be a doomer in this video, but I think this is more of a call to action, that we have to stop talking about when doomsday will come and treat it as if it already happened. And now we have to be the forest that grows out of the fire, as I've said in my previous video. I'll go back to the geopolitical talk here. With the Strait of Hormuz closed, when it does affect us, we will be in shambles as Americans. If you're not from America, it will probably affect you too if you live in a European country. And even if you live in a third world country, it's going to affect you. Now, here's how it's going to affect you. It's going to hurt in a shorter time span, and then your countries are going to realize what's to gain from the collapse of America, and essentially Europe as well, because Europe is basically America's puppet, and we can talk about that in another video. But as a third worlder, you're going to realize that there's resources for you to take, that there's something available to take in and use. And I don't blame them for wanting or like recognizing that they can do that. But I do blame us for not taking enough action to prevent that. And maybe we will. Maybe when it's really directly in our face after the 10th, 20th collapse that we see, maybe people will let that paranoia, that schizo behavior take over them and interact with their behavior. But as it stands now, people just are not willing to do anything besides sit there and let things happen. Everyone's waiting for things to just work out. But the truth about nature and reality is that 99.9% of the times, things don't work out. Now, for the past 50, 60 years, we've been riding a high. We've been riding a high of success that is slowly running out because people can't attribute where we got that from. And I'm gonna let you guys decide where that came from. But when we talk about what's happening in terms of what we can do, the only thing you're going to be able to do is regroup as a community and recognize what positives you bring as a whole. So if you're in a situation like me, you basically have no chance of survival if there was a massive collapse. Most of us, at least at my age, are completely hopeless in the job market, used all of our wealth from our family inheritance on degrees, college education that most of the time was not actually worth what was put in. And because of that, it's almost as if it was an intentional obstacle to prevent success if something were to happen. All of what's happened so far within the past 20 years looks almost intentional, and we won't be able to know if it was or wasn't until it's too late. And so we can't operate from a perspective of whether or not it is intentional, but we have to operate into the perspective of it happening. So when it comes to what's going to happen next, we won't have the economic opportunity to really grow out and have different advantages throughout the world of which we can take. We are going to have to start off small and sacrifice the perspective of opportunity which we've had before. America as a whole is in the situation where we are on the brink of losing the title of world leader. And it most likely is the fact that that is no longer the case anyways. When normal American citizens think about that fact, they do not understand the implications of us losing that position. If we lose the title of innovator and world leader, who's going to take that place? It's not going to be as good, and the people that are taking it are doing the same thing that we did before, which is why most white Americans cannot hate on this. They're going to think for themselves and take advantage for themselves. China, the Middle East, Africa to some extent, they're going to operate independently for themselves and take what they can get. China is probably going to be the biggest idea of this that's going to be right in front of our faces. It's going to be the problem that we recognize first, or at least normal people recognize first, if other things don't get shown immediately. And by that I mean like the true people who are pulling the strings right now. Yes, people are waking up to who it is, but if it's not shown in an even brighter instance in the near future, I genuinely believe the general public, who most of their information comes from those people that are pulling the strings, they're going to be like, oh, it's China, because China is for the Chinese. Everyone can recognize that. Everyone sees it easily, and that will be the first thing people go look at. because it's easy for the brain to connect. And the Chinese will probably do, well, it doesn't matter if they do a decent job or not. It's going to be the normal, so that's going to be decent no matter what. It's like if you lived in the Middle Ages, how they say it was the Dark Ages. To them, that was just normal. They didn't recognize it as the Dark Ages until after, and it was applied to that time when it got better. You don't know how good you can have it, is what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, you don't know how bad it can get. That's basically what I'm trying to get at in this video. And when it comes to Americans, I genuinely believe they do not know how bad it can get. And they don't understand how bad it already is because they don't know how good it can be. But I've talked about that plenty of times in other videos. So now I'm trying to say the reverse. Sorry if it's a little negative, nihilistic, but I just have to get that point across. Things will get worse. It's already decided. This isn't something where we get to say, oh, if you're being nihilistic, it's just going to be that way. No, things will get worse. We know that now, at least in the short term. Like for the long term, we can play optimistic and be irrationally hopeful. But for the short term, we know the Strait of Hormuz being blocked is going to eventually hit us and things are going to get worse. And if we don't hold on during that period of which it gets worse, we will spiral out of control. Now, I believe we're going to hold on. I believe that things don't go spiraling out of control that fast. Nothing ever happens, right? But things will slowly break, things will slowly deteriorate, I believe, unless something is done about it. And I genuinely believe this community is the only one that's going to be able to do something about it. So that's why I need y'all's help in doing that. And what we have to do is somehow break the economic chains. That's step one. We have to break the chains of our financial problem. And this isn't just me asking you to subscribe, okay? Which is something easy you could do to help out. But you yourself need to start thinking, not how can I cheat this system, because I don't want you to implant or imprint a immoral code into your brain. But how can I take advantage of what's in front of me? How can I use the tools accessible to me? Efficiency, ability, learning new skills. And this isn't become a plumber. We need to do more than become a plumber. We need to become a plumber and learn how solar panels work, and learn how to filter water, and learn carpentry, and learn code, and learn electronics, and learn how to market, how to talk to people, which is a skill lots of people don't even have. How to think outside the box is a big one. Be creative. How to take the amount of people we have in the world and use that to our advantage, use their attention to our advantage. We genuinely don't have the option to be like, screw everyone else. We have to at the very least, be platonic with them so that, one, we're not seen as a complete threat that they need to annihilate immediately, because they will think that if we continue down the path of hating and then doing nothing else. And we also have to use that as a resource. The people are a resource. They use us as a resource, and it's not always a bad thing. Everyone else around us is a resource, and we have to use that. If we don't, then we're leaving something on the table. And right now, if we leave anything on the table, it's taken immediately. It's used immediately by others. It's taken and it's used against us, honestly, because if you're not using it, it's being used against you. So another thing, solutions offered from the same people that got us into this problem are always going to be used against us. You have to. I'm sorry if you learned something from Twitter about someone. I'm sorry if you heard gossip on some reel or short or whatever else about some figure that is unhinged. But those unhinged people that the general public doesn't like, we have to support them. Even if there's one little thing wrong with them, even if they aren't extremely trustworthy, we have to support them. If they have any motion, okay? If they have any hope of succeeding at all, even if not, if they're just causing a problem to the same system that's hurting us, we have to support them. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And the reason why I'm saying sorry is because the same people that are adjacent to my community are the same people that will hate on those the most. Yes, that they're showing you that in your feed, not intentionally. It's because the algorithm thinks you're going to like them because they're thinking outside the box like you. But because of that, anything against them, you're seeing more, you're probably talking about it more, you're interacting with it more, and it's crabs in a bucket. It's hurting all of us. When the time comes for a large sweep of everything that's going against us, when it comes and we manage to get that through, we now know how to filter out the rest of the weeds, right? But when it comes to coming up out of the ashes, we have to allow for all new spectrums of life to come out with us. Then we clean house, okay? And by that, I just mean ideas, which people have good ideas that we can support, creative, unique tools. I'm not trying to say anything crazy here. It's all very simple, but this thing does apply to a lot more. So I just wanted to share those ideas. I just wanted to share that, it is going to get worse now. And I'm going to need more of you guys interacting with the community, like always. I'm begging for more support. If you have land, let me come record on your land. That's my number one ask right now. I'm going to start asking random people if nobody shows up for me. Let me come do something with you. If you have an idea for content, let's collab. I'll go anywhere at this point. Screw it. I am set on doing this. I don't care. This is what I'm dedicating my life to. I'm saying it now. I don't care anymore. This is what I want to do. I will figure out a way to do it. And I won't just be a content creator. I will be a creator, period. And it will happen. I'm setting it. I'm not manifesting it. This is reality. So, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Send me something interesting. Peace.